Numbers, Bar Midbar. It's chapter 22, Balak. The portion's named after this guy called Balak. He's the king of Moab. And I don't know how much of it we'll get to read tonight. But the thing is, last year, it's on the YouTube, and last year, we covered all of it. We got through every verse of the Torah portion, and it was great. And the atmosphere in here was great. You could hear it, charged, and we read every verse. So I don't know if we'll do it tonight. Let's see how it goes. But if you like that, where we read every verse with a bit of a commentary, watch last year. It's what the YouTube's for. Yeah. So I don't know, let's just pray, because I don't know where we're going to go tonight. Father, I just pray for this next hour or so that we've got together. Lord, let my tongue be the pen of a ready writer, and let me recite my composition concerning the King, Psalm 45. Father, your word says, desire the gifts of the Spirit, especially that you may prophesy. So I pray, Father, for your word tonight to penetrate our hearts, to remain with us, Lord, to actually have an effect in our lives, Lord. God forbid, Father, that this would ever become a religious Bible study and we just gather together to just read the Bible, to feel like we're doing you some sort of favour. Please, Lord, let us hear your word and let our lives be transformed from glory to glory, because this is your will for us, Lord. And it's only your word engrafted into our souls that can save us in that way. So please help us, our lives, to be transformed through the renewing of our minds as we hear your word tonight. Amen. 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 So as I just prayed then, there's a lot to be said, but I definitely want to get into Revelation tonight. Really want to read Revelation tonight. Why? Because when Yeshua mentions someone out of the Tanakh, you've got to pay attention, haven't you? And out of all of the people that get a mention, there's not that many when you think about it. Balaam, who is in this portion tonight, gets a mention. Justin's already read from Jude. Jude mentions Balaam. What did Jude mention? Was it the error of Balaam?
Yeah, again, for prophets.
Yeah, was it the error of Balaam? I think it was the error of Balaam. Well, when we get to, in a minute, Revelation, Yeshua talks about the doctrine of Balaam, the teaching of Balaam. So we've got to ask ourselves, what's he on about? What's Yeshua talking about when he says we've got the doctrine of Balaam? He's talking to his assembly. He's not talking to the world. He's not talking to a gang of sinners. He's talking to his people and telling them, you've got the doctrine of Balaam in your fellowship. And so we need to understand what that's about. And wherever it applies, we need to take it on board. We don't need to, like you wanted to pray, Psalm 139, know us, Lord. Know us and search us, Lord. And if there's any wicked way in us, get it out of us, Lord. That's got to be our prayer in these days. So I think we'll just have a bit of an overview of this to get us going. Chapter 22 of Bar Midbar, Numbers. And if we had finished off last week, Numbers 21, we would have seen Israel on the rampage. We mentioned last week that this is the last year now before they're about to enter the promised land. And now they're all on the banks of the River Jordan, right opposite the promised land. You can see it. They're all ready to go in. And last week, they went on a major campaign, and Sion, and let's just mention where it is, chapter 21, verse 21. It was that part when Israel wanted to go through the land of the Amorites, and Sion, the king, wouldn't allow them. And so Israel destroyed them, destroyed Sion, the king of the Amorites. And then he destroyed Og, verse 33, Og, the king of Bashan. This is the Golan Heights we're talking about here. This is Israel taking possession of the Golan Heights. This is the area we're talking about, the bulls of Bashan at the Golan Heights. And so Israel was taking territory and destroying its enemies, and these enemies were giants. Og was a giant. I think his bed was 13.5 foot long. You know, he was a giant. And when they were like twice as tall as normal fellas, they were twice as big, with arms twice as big. They were giants. And Israel destroyed them, just like God had said. And so in chapter 22, you can understand now, when we start to read chapter 22, I keep being told stop rocking, and I always think about rocking, and I watch it, I'm like that. So I'm playful. I'm going to start standing up when we do the Gospels. I can't help this rocking, but I am trying to stop.
Got to tie you down.
Tie me down. Then chapter 22, then the children of Israel moved and camped in the plains of Moab. Moab is Jordan, isn't it? Moab is Jordan. You know, Petra and all that. That's where they are, all around there. Right across from Israel. So they camped on the plains of Jordan, on the side of the Jordan, across from Jericho. Now Balak. Balak means devastator. Destroyer. He's got a dead hard name. He's the son of Zippor. Zippor means little bird. So weird. And you can even see in this, because what was Moses' wife's name? Zipporah. So you can see how these alliances, they've got the same names. They're all a confederacy of nations against Israel. Well, Israel's destroying its enemies, and this Balak, the son of Zippor, saw in verse 2 all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people because they were many, and Moab was sick with dread because of the children of Israel. Just like today, Israel's enemies are sick with dread of them. They've had a few experiences over the last few years, haven't they? The 1948 campaign, and 1967 and 1973 Yom Kippur Wars. God fights for Israel. Amen. And their enemies are terrified, and fear does bad things to people. If Moab would have known, God had forbidden Israel last week. You can't enter their land. I've got a covenant with these people too, and you can't enter their land. You're not allowed to have given it to them, because Moab, who was Moab? Moab's the son of Lot, isn't he? Remember? Yeah. Lot, and Lot's two daughters, or Lot, and they thought the world had ended, and they said there's no men for us to have children with, so they got the father, Lot, drunk 2 nights on the run, didn't he? And both of them slept with him, and both of them had kids. Moab's one of them. Moab's from the Lot family. And so God had said, you can't go in and fight these. But fear had got hold of Moab. And fear does strange things to people. Makes people act in strange ways. And that's what he's doing here. Ray's already read at the start from Exodus 15, didn't you? Yeah. You read from the Song of Moses before. Well, I'm just going to read a bit more from it. Exodus 15, just for the sake of time, I'm going to just go there. Exodus 15, chapter 15, verse 14. The people will hear and be afraid. This is exactly what's happening. Sorrow will take hold of the inhabitants of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom will be dismayed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, will take hold of them. And all the inhabitants of Canaan will melt away. Rahab will testify to this in Joshua. She says to the spies, as soon as we heard about you, our hearts melted within us. God had said this. Don't worry, I'm going to fight this fight. I'm going to take care of the giants. They'll get off. Just trust me. I've given you this land. It's a free gift that I have given you because of the promise I made to Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. And I'm not going to break that for anyone, as we will see when we read this portion tonight. So fear has took hold of Balak, the king of Moab. He is trembling and he is seeing Israel. And he doesn't know that God has said, don't fight them. But anyway, verse 4. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, you know who these people are? This is why when we done chapter 18 of Exodus, the portion was called Jethro. And I said then, what's this character? He's not all he's cracked up to be this Jethro. Sure enough, Jethro left the Israelites and went back to his own people, didn't he? Jethro went back to the Midianites, and he didn't preach the good news to them. He didn't tell them, oh, look, we should all go and join Israel. The Midianites become enemies of Israel. Jethro's people, this is. Jethro's people. That's why I give Jethro such a hard time when we do Jethro. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, which means strife. That's what Midian means, strife. Now this company will lick up everything around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at that time. Then he sent messengers to Bilam, which means not of the people. Bilam, not of the people. He sent messengers to Bilam, the son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, look, a people has come from Egypt. See, they cover the face of the earth and are settling next to me. Because that's what Israel do, really. They settle. It's all the UN's in uproar about now. Oh, you can't settle. You can't build settlements in the land. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Because Ezekiel, God prophesied through Ezekiel that he would bring them back to the mountains of Israel. And they would settle again. They would be settlers back in their own land. So they've got to be right to settle.
Right, there is a rest for the people.
That's right, and the settlement. Yeah. Settlements. It's very, I mean, as I say, we look at last year's one, but it's so end time, this, you know. It's such an end time scenario. And it always happens at this time of year. It's summit season now. Everyone's having summits, isn't it? President Trump was having a summit with North Korea the other week. And now Europe are having summits, and it's President Trump's about to have a summit with President Putin. They always have summits. And 3 years ago, when we were doing this portion, they were having a summit. And that summit was to have the Iranian peace deal. Remember the Iranian peace deal? 3 years ago, the week we were reading this portion. Because we might not get through it all tonight. But what happens in this tonight is Bilam's on his donkey going to curse Israel. And the donkey crushes his foot against the wall, doesn't it? And Bilam gets a crushed or broken foot or whatever. And 3 years ago, when we were reading this portion, John Kerry, the Secretary of State for America at that time, was the main guy in this summit. And on his way, he fell off his bike. He fell off his bike and broke his foot and limped into the summit on his crutches. And it was with this portion, when all these summits are taking place, when the nations of the world are coming together to plot against Israel. He had a Balaam experience. And he'd come in hopping on his foot. It was the week we were reading this portion. Like, wow. Because that's what this is all about tonight. They will have 3 summits, 3 mountaintop occasions when Balaam will do sacrifices and build altars and sacrifice 7 sheep and 7 oxen with 7 altars, trying to be all holy, trying to come across really like godly. Oh yeah, the number 7 is dead holy. 7 bulls and 7 sheep and 7 altars on 3 summits. Just doing it in a pagan way. But that's what this is all about. What's the Balaam teaching? That's what I want to think. Just need to get it to a point, and then we'll get into what I want to do. So look, verse 6, this is what he says. Therefore, to Balaam, please come at once, curse these people for me, for they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know, Balaam, he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. I mean, Justin's done this new sheet here with a lot of extra biblical writing about Balaam and who he was. And he was held to be a very, very mighty prophet. Not really a real prophet, a soothsayer. He was for hire, as we will see. He was out, anyone wants highest bidder, I'll come and curse your enemies for you. He was a magician. He was a wizard or whatever. He was a dark character. But he knew the name. He knew who God was. Yeshua said, didn't he? There is going to be people in that day that are going to come and they're going to be saying, Lord, didn't we not prophesy in your name? And Yeshua's going to say, I never knew you. I didn't know you. That's why I'm so glad when Psalm 139 gets read out. Know me, God. Don't ever run the risk that Yeshua's going to turn around and say he didn't know you. He'll be saying that to people that weren't saying, know me, because I know my heart, the heart of man's desperately wicked. So I really need you to know me and cleanse me. And if there's any wicked way in me, cleanse me.
It's also changing, using the word of the Lord as he gave it to Abraham. I will bless those who bless you.
This is exactly what he's doing. That's how deep this is. Yeah. That's exactly what's happening, Marion. That's how deep and sinister this is. This fella's got a reputation for being able to dole out the blessings, and you get blessed. And if he curses you, you're cursed. He's got a reputation for it. He had some power going on. Verse 7, so the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian, both of them, departed with the diviner's fee in their hand. This is what Justin read from Jude, or does Peter say it as well, that Balaam loved the wages of unrighteousness. He loved the wages of unrighteousness. He loved the money. What this man could have been. This man could hear God so clearly. So clearly. It's not, that's why it's, you know, you've got to hear his voice. But it's like what James is saying. Don't be a hearer only, deceiving yourselves. You've got to be a doer of the word. You can't just be content to hear his voice. People can hear God, but do they do it? Do they obey his voice? Balaam can hear God, probably better than anyone here. Could hear his voice. You can hear God's voice this clearly. Where have you been for the last 4 years? You know, let's start hearing it. Because if you can hear God in this way, you're probably a prophet. But Balaam could hear God's voice. But could he obey him? No. Because he loved the wages of unrighteousness. So they went with the diviner's fee in their hands, and they came to Balaam and spoke to him the words of Balak. And he said to them, Lodge here tonight, and I'll bring back word to you. As Jehovah, he knows the name, as Jehovah speaks to me. So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam. Do you remember when we done Jethro? And sometimes it was Jehovah, and sometimes it was God. And it tended to go hand in hand with, when it was Jehovah, it was Jethro. And when it was God, it was Moses' father-in-law. It's very, very special, the name of God. Yes. It really is. Not so much, I mean, I like to pronounce it because I believe that proper Bible scholars know what the name of God is. It's what's written. I'd rather go with what's written than what some fellas dreamed up. And what's written, it's Jehovah. That's what his name is. But look, it's no good because you know what's written using his name. If you don't know what his name means, you need to know what his name means. His name means who was, who is, and who will be. It's to show us he does not change. He is our rock, and he is steadfast and faithful, and we can depend on him. But you can see what's going on in this narrative here. The way the nations perceive God is that he can change his mind, God. If you give a few more quid, he'll change his mind. This is the sort of God they thought they were dealing with. So when Balaam, well, we need to read it, but I'm trying to get through it as well. But what Balaam's saying is here is, anyway, let's see what Yah speaks to me. Then God came to Balaam and said, who are these? I don't know these. You know, like, get away from me. I never knew you. Balaam should be on this. Whoa, God's disassociated himself with these people. He doesn't not recognise who these people are. I tell you what, I'll send them on the way. That's what Balaam should have done. Who are these men with you? So Balaam said to God, Balak, the son of Zippor, the king of Moab, has sent to me, saying, look, a people has come out of Egypt, and they cover the face of the earth. Come now, curse them for me. Perhaps I shall be able to overpower them and drive them out. Now this is clear, verse 12. Pay attention. God said to Balaam, you shall not go with them. Is that clear enough? It's not ambiguous, is it? It's not like you've got to think about it. God said, you shall not go with them. That should be the end of the matter. You shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed. Amen. As Marian just said, go back to Genesis 12, when God said to Abraham, look, whoever blesses you, I'll bless them. And whoever curses you, I'll curse them. And God's saying to Balaam, oh, you got me wrong. I don't change. You might know my name. You might be able to pronounce it right. But do you know what it means? It means I don't change. It means that I've said to Abraham, Abraham, you're blessed, mate. And whoever blesses you's blessed. I'm not going to change. No matter how much you offer me. I don't need your money. I'm God. I own a cattle of 1,000 hills. And if I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you. That's what God says. I don't need your money. I'm not going to get bribed. But Balaam doesn't see him this way. And the nations of the earth don't see him this way. They just need to read the Bibles. And they can have an end to all of this. But they think they can get around God. Don't go with them. So verse 13, Balaam rose in the morning and said to the princes of Balak, go back to your land, for Yahovah has refused to give me permission to go with you. And the princes of Moab rose and went to Balak and said, Balaam refuses to come with us. Then Balak again sent princes more numerous and more honourable than they. He went back with loads more dough, with a blank cheque this time, going, lad, just name your price. Name your price. Just come. You think they can bribe God? Verse 16, they came to Balaam and said to him, thus says Balak, the son of Zippor, please let nothing hinder you from coming to me. I will certainly honour you greatly, and I will do whatever you say to me. Therefore, please come, curse these people for me. Then Balaam answered and said to the sons of Balak, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the word of Yahovah, my God. To do less or more. That's a strange statement, isn't it? He is identifying with that this is my God. So did Balaam have some relationship with God? If so, he's going to sell himself down the river. And this is what Jude's alluding to. People that are twice dead. This is what Peter's alluding to. We won't have time to go to it. But 2 Peter chapter 2, really the whole chapter is like a parallel to what Jude's saying. False teachers have come into your midst. There's false brethren in the midst here. They're posing as, teachers and preachers of the word, but they're false. They're teaching you error. And they are exactly like Balaam. This is what 2 Peter, you cannot say this is irrelevant. It's in the New Testament on 3 occasions, this guy. 2 Peter chapter 2, the letter of Jude, and Revelation, which we will get to in a minute. I'm just trying to make the point here. So look what he says, verse 19. Should have just sent them home. But he says, now therefore, please, you also stay here tonight, that I may know what more Yahovah will say to me. What more else do you need him to say to you? He said, don't go and don't curse them. But Balaam's thinking, yeah, but God might be impressed when he sees all the extra dough you've offered me. Maybe that'll change his mind. He doesn't understand the nature of God, that he keeps covenant. That if he had broken his promise to Abraham, he's not God anymore, is he? His word's failed. You can't rely on this God if he breaks promises. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to get God to break his promise. Then the whole thing falls apart, doesn't it? And they think they can buy him off. But you can buy Balaam off, but you can't buy God off. Thank God. Because this is the devil, He came to Yeshua, the devil, didn't he? When Yeshua was in the wilderness, and it's 3 times, it's not a coincidence. If you read this portion yourself, you will see that Balaam, 3 times, hits his donkey. 3 times, he's going, no, my will be done. Not your will, my will, my will. This is Balaam. Yeshua is the opposite. 3 times in Gethsemane, he prayed, oh, not my will, your will, your will. This is the Son of God. He was like you've read before, he was obedient to death, wasn't he? Therefore, he was highly exalted. And so 3 times, the devil came to Yeshua, didn't he? And he said to Yeshua, bow down and worship me, and I will give you all this power and all this wealth, all of these kingdoms of the earth I will give to you if you will worship me. And that's what Balaam, he may have one time been a believer, Yahovah, my God, but he sells out for money. He loves the wages of unrighteousness. So he's saying here, let's just see if God's going to change his mind, basically. Verse 20, and God came to him again. God came to Balaam at night and said to him, if the men come to call you, rise up and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you, that shall you do. So Balaam didn't wait for them. Doesn't say he waited for them. Doesn't say there was a knock at the door in the morning. It just says Balaam got up in the morning. Didn't wait for any knock. Just got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the princes of Moab. Then in verse 22, God's anger was aroused because he went, and the angel of Jehovah took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. This is the first time you see this word. It's the word Satan. Satan, has-Satan, the adversary. And that's what it's saying. The angel of Yah took his stand in the way as a Satan, as an adversary. It doesn't mean that God became the devil. It shows you the nature of the devil. The devil is an adversary who stands in our way. That's what he's looking to do. Stand in your way and stop you. This is what the angel of Yah is trying to do to Balaam. Stop him from going headlong into disaster. Well, the devil's the opposite. He's trying to stand in your way to stop you accomplishing what God's got for your life. He's happy for you just to play religious games and to think that you're doing something with your life. I don't know whether you are. I don't know. Yeshua knows, as we're going to read in a minute. Yeshua knows what you're up to. He knows your works. Yeshua wants you to do the works he has prepared for you. He wants to say, you know what? Well done, good and faithful servant. Come here. Gives a big kiss and rule and reign with me forever. I mean, that's just what he wants for you. You know, that's what he wants. Many are called, few are chosen. Few actually listen to this. Most people are quite happy to carry on with the religious selves and just get on with it in the flesh. And religious organisations will cater for that. And if you pay them a religious tax, they'll be happy with that. They'll tax you, religious tax, and just like Balaam. But Satan is an adversary, standing in the way to stop you accomplishing the will of God for your life. So that's how you can just see what the nature of the adversary is. He stands in the way to stop you. And anyway, Balaam has riding this donkey, and his two servants are with him. Now this donkey is a female donkey. It's Aton in Hebrew. Aton. Aleph, Tav. You've got the Aleph and the Tav. You know what that is, don't you? It's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Aleph, Tav, Vav, Nun. Very messianic picture. Nun is always pointing to the sun. The sun. Aleph and Tav, Vav, Nun. A female donkey. But it says in Peter that this female donkey spoke with a man's voice. Spoke with the voice of a man, a male voice, which is strange for a female donkey, but it's strange that a donkey is going to speak anyway. You know, I'm not being, you know, like, what? Thought you were a woman. So the donkey saw the angel of Yah standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. We'll be able to get to Revelation in a minute now. With his drawn sword in his hand. And the donkey turned aside out of the way and went into the field. So Balaam, for the first time, struck the donkey to turn her back onto the road. Then the angel of Yah stood in a narrow path between the vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. When the donkey saw the angel of Jehovah, she pushed herself against the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall. So he struck her again. Then the angel of Jehovah went further and stood in a narrow place, where there was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of Jehovah, she lay down under Balaam. So Balaam's anger was aroused, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then the Jehovah opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you, that you have struck me these 3 times?" The donkey. And Balaam said to the donkey, because you've abused me. I wish there was a sword in my hand. Balaam can't see the angel of Yah with his sword. If there was a sword in my hand, I'd have killed you. So the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey, on which you have ridden ever since I became yours to this day? Was I ever disposed to do this to you? And he said, nay. Then Yahovah opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of Yahovah standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell flat on his face. And the angel of Yahovah said to him, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to Satan stand against you. Satan, it says in Hebrew, as an adversary. I have come to be an adversary, to stand in the way against you. Because your way is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, surely I would have killed you by now and let her live. And Balaam said to the angel of Yahovah, I have sinned. This is hope here, I have sinned. For I did not know you stood in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displeases you, I will turn back. God had already said, Adam, don't go. God had made this clear. But God knows the people he's dealing with. He knows when you're blagging it. He knows if you're being real. He knows if your heart's before him going, oh, God, oh, Lord, please, just get every wicked way out of me. Please do what your will is in my life. Not my will, your will. He knows if you're blagging it. Or if you're just giving it a bailing. Oh, you should have said, if it displeases you, Lord, you should have said. God knows Balaam's heart's not sincere. And so he says, oh, look, just carry on. Go on your way. So, in verse 35, the angel of Yah said to Balaam, go with the men, but only the word I speak to you, that's what you shall speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. Now, when Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the border at the Arnon, the boundary of the territory. And I've already mentioned what happens now. It's a series now of different mountaintops, 3 different mountaintops, and Balak and Balaam with 7 altars and 7 oxen, 7 rams or sheep, offering them up, trying to put on a religious show, just being a gang of pagans, but trying to make out it's godly. Like Paul has told us, the end time, watch out, there's going to be people holding to a form of godliness. What did Yeshua say? Don't be deceived. What's going to be the sign of your coming, Lord, in the end of the age? Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Many are going to come in my name, saying I'm the Messiah, but they won't be doing what I said to do. They'll be giving it Jesus as Lord. They'll have crosses on the churches. They'll be called Saint this and Saint that. And they'll make out they're all holy, but they won't actually be doing what I've said to do. It's called, what's it called? The mystery of lawlessness. It's what it's called. This end-time deception is all about a man, a son of lawlessness. And Yeshua, when he says, get away from me, I didn't know you, he adds on to the end, you that practice lawlessness. So if anyone wants to say this is legalistic, go ahead. Fill your boots. Say what you like. No curse will come against us. There is no curse against Israel. No sorcery can prevail against Israel. This is not legalism. This is the covenant of God. And there is lawless people in his name saying he's the Messiah, who don't do what he says to do, who keep other festivals that have got nothing to do with the Messiah. And that's where we're going now, Revelation. You can read the rest of it yourself. I mean, last year we spent time on these prophecies, what Balaam comes out with. Oh, I mean, to this day, let me just say, for instance, chapter 24. Let me just give a couple of little quick examples, because we're not going to spend more time in this now. And if you're really sorry about that, watch last year's portion, because we cover every verse and make a bit of commentary on it as we go. But for instance, chapter 23, verse 21, look what he says. Well, let's see from verse 19. Verse 19, this is the second prophecy. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. In other words, God doesn't change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do? Has he spoken, and will he not make it good? Behold, I've received a command to bless. Bilam's going to give him all kinds of wealth if he will curse Israel. And Bilam is saying, I can't curse them. I have got a command to bless. You all right? See you later. Shabbat shalom. Nice to see you. I have got a command to bless. He is blessed and I cannot reverse it. He has not observed. Look at this. He has not observed iniquity in Israel. Nor has he seen wickedness. He has not observed iniquity in Jacob. Nor has he seen wickedness in Israel. Yahovah, his God, is with him. And the shout of a king is among them. God brings them out of Egypt. He has strength like a wild ox. There is no sorcery against Jacob. No divination against Israel. It must now be said of Jacob and of Israel, oh, what God has done. Look, a people rises like a lioness and lifts itself up like a lion. Look what it's saying here. God does not see iniquity in Jacob. He doesn't see sin. Look what he's done. It's saying this can only be talking about the new creation, can't it? This can only be talking about how God sees us now. Sees us as new creations. Doesn't see us as sinners anymore. Sees us as new creations. Sees us as righteous because Yeshua became an offering for sin, that we could be made the righteousness of God in him. That's why God is saying this. He doesn't observe sin. He doesn't observe iniquity in us. Look what he's done. Look at chapter 24, verse 3. How this is every day in the Jewish prayer book. Every day this is said. This, what Balaam came out with, which was meant to be coming to curse Israel, is now part of the daily prayers of Israel. Verse 5, how lovely are your tents, O Jacob. Your dwellings, it says here, but in Hebrew, your Mishkan, Mishkan Oteka, your Mishkan. Mishkan is the name for the tabernacle, isn't it? Mishkan's not just a tent. That's what he says first. Oh, Halicha, oh, your tents. How lovely are your tents. But how, what is it? How lovely. And your dwellings, your Mishkan. It's talking here, biblically, that we are the temple of God. That we are his dwelling place. That's why it's using such a holy reference, saying your tabernacles, your Mishkan Israel. How beautiful it is. Because he's talking here, Revelation chapter 21. You know when it says, I saw the new Jerusalem, the wife of the Lamb, ascending out of heaven. And it describes the new Jerusalem, the dwelling place of God. Well, that is the bride. I mean, that's what it says. The new Jerusalem is the bride. It's just what the word of God says. And that's why you can make this statement, how lovely is your Mishkan, O Israel. Because God is seeing the finished work here. He is seeing the work of his Son, and he is seeing us in our complete and perfect state to say, I don't see sin in them. I don't observe iniquity in them. I see a beautiful dwelling place in them. This is how we need to see each other. This is how we need to see each other.
Can I just say it's really important? Like,
you have to speak up, everyone.
When Yah said Jacob and Israel, he's talking about all 12 tribes. He's not saying you Gentiles. He's saying Israel.
Yeah.
So it's saying, I'm speaking to Israel, I'm speaking to Judah, Benjamin, and all 10 tribes.
Amen.
So we are grafted in through Yeshua.
Amen.
We are no longer Gentiles.
Amen, Yvonne.
We've crossed over.
Yes.
We are Israel, not replacement theology.
Absolutely.
And we have to obey as they do.
We are Israel. We haven't replaced anyone. We've been grafted in.
If you're not Israel, there's no place.
If you're not Israel, you're not saved. If you're not Israel, you're not saved. There's no other covenant. He said, I'll make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And I'll write my Torah. I'll give you a new heart, a new spirit. That's the covenant we're grafted into. There isn't a covenant for the Gentiles.
So when people say to you, we've got a new covenant now.
Yeah, it's in Ezekiel. It's in Jeremiah 31 and Ezekiel 37. Is it? Or 36. But look, let's just, we're running out of time. So let's just go to Revelation now. Revelation chapter 2. And look, as I said, I'm just rabbiting on here. But last year's one's better. Watch that. See what this is all about. But now Yeshua is going to speak. So let's listen. This is what he says at the end of all the letters. I mean, there's 7 letters here. 7 messages that Yeshua has sent to his people. And he says at the end of every one of them, let him who has got an ear, let him hear. And all we can do here is pray that we will have ears to hear. Please give us ears to hear. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not, please, be happy with religion. But, and we have the toll religion has took on my life. The toll of religion, the years of religion and religious people has made me half asleep. I'm fighting to stay awake. I'd, appreciate your help in staying awake. And, let's get up for this together. Let's really search our hearts. Please. Please. As we said at the start, God, prune this vine. Any dead wood in here that's not bearing fruit, prune it, Lord. Prune it. Do it in me. We're wasting our lives chasing after the wealth, chasing after the pleasure of this life. It's going to be over soon. If you can't hear what he's got to say here, all we can pray is for mercy, that you will have ears to hear. And I'm praying this to myself. Verse chapter 12 of Revelation. Chapter 2 of Revelation, verse 12. There's 7 letters here. And we need to know these, This one's only got 5 verses in it. And we need to know these. And when I read Revelation, I hear the voice of God in me going, are you listening to this? This is to me. Are you you're going to actually stand before me. Forget about him. And forget about it. Forget about him.
Yeah.
You're going to stand before me. And I'm the one speaking. You're listening to me. I hear it. And it shakes me. And I don't want to burden you with my own thing. But I don't want to play games either. I'm not here to play games.
That's what the word says. The Lord looks at those who tremble at his word.
Yeah, fear and trembling. Religion has told us not to be like that. Oh, I hate it. Verse 12, to the angel of the assembly, it says ecclesia in Greek. Ecclesia, called out ones. That's what it says in Greek. The assembly in Pergamos. Right. Pergamos, this is just from our wonderful, beloved, departed brother, Chuck Misley, who died, slept a few weeks ago, didn't he? Went to be with the Lord. Loads of us love him here. And this is what, from his teachings, I've spent most of the week listening to different teachings on this letter. And Pergamos, people say different things, but Chuck's the best. Pergamos means mixed. Pergamos, marriage. Mixed marriage. That's who he's writing to here. A gang of people that are in a mixed marriage. Mixing it with the love of the world. Mixing it with religion. Why is this relevant? And we will carry on with this next week. But what we've say, what's last year's one? But the summary of this is that Bilam can't curse Israel. He can't say a bad word. Everything that comes out of his mouth is blessing. Blessing, blessing. So much so that Balak says to him in the end, oh lad, oh, Yahovah, he has done you out of your reward. You're not getting paid now. I brought you here to curse them, and you didn't curse them, so you're going home with nothing. So what we find out is Bilam devises a way, doesn't he? He says, I can't curse them, but I tell you what I can do. I can teach you how to get them to curse themselves. I'll teach you how to get them into a position when God's got to judge them. I can't curse them. There's no sorcery against them. No witchcraft's going to work. But I can teach you how to get Israel to bring a curse on themselves. I can teach you to do that. That's what Bilam does. He doesn't want to get off without his money. He wants his money. So he comes up with a way to do it. And that's what this is about. These things, says he, look what he's got, who has the sharp two-edged sword. Well, we've just seen that, haven't we? It was the angel of Yahovah that was stood in the way with a sharp two-edged sword in his hand. And that's why Yeshua is using this symbolism to speak to this assembly, to get them to understand, no, I'm really serious. You know, not just some religious nutcase. I'm the Saviour. I'm God. And I know everything about you. And I am here to try and help you. That's what he's saying. And the way this is going to help you, if you take me seriously, I know. I haven't got a feathery duster. I'm not Ken Dodd. I'm not come to tickle you. I'm here with a sharp two-edged sword. That's who I am. I know your works. Verse 13. He says this in all the letters. And he really does. He knows your works. That's why Yeshua said, this is how you pray. Go into your closet. Shut your door. And your Father who sees in secret, he'll reward you. He knows everything. That's what you read in Psalm 139. He knows our thoughts. Before they're even in our heads, he knows them. He knows how we'll deal with them. He wants us to grow up and mature and learn how to fight this good fight of faith. I know your works and where you dwell, where Satan's throne is. And you hold fast to my name, and you didn't deny my faith, even in the days in which Antipas, very interesting. You heard of the Antichrist, haven't you? Antichrist. Well, this is Antipas, and Antipas is sound. Anti doesn't always mean against. The Antichrist doesn't mean always against Christ. It means in place of another, one who is like. One, yes, pseudo. That's why Yeshua said, don't be deceived. They'll come in my name. They'll be saying I'm the Messiah. You'll know them because they don't actually do what I say. They don't actually, you know, when I say keep the Sabbath, they'll say it's all done away with. They'll deny the very nature of the Messiah and call themselves Christians. But how can they be real followers of the Messiah if they are not teaching what he said to do? This is how you'll know them. But they'll seem more religious. They might even call themselves Father. Father Ted. So, in the days of Antipas, Antipas means like the Father. Like the Father. That's how great this Antipas was. His name was like the Father. My faithful martyr. Martyr and witness is the same word. And that's because back in the day, if you were a witness of Yeshua, there was every chance you were going to end up getting killed. That's the faith we're grafted into. That's what we should have been getting taught from day one, rather than getting taught, oh, name it and claim it. God wants to bless you with a big house and 6 cars on the driveway, and he wants you to have a special another house in Spain, and you know, all that's what God wants for you. Oh, get out of here, please get out of here completely, and don't come back ever again with that nonsense, because it's rubbish. God said, Yeshua said, I might require you to die for me. And at this generation, like now, there's every chance he's going to require that of you. Right? Unless you take the mark of the beast, you won't be able to buy or sell. And if you don't take the mark of the beast, your head's coming off. You can tell we're not trying to win friends and influence people, can't you? Well, I'm not. Hey, I've had mates. I've had the best mates you could wish for. Think I'm after mates? Having a laugh. They're not where's the paper they're written on. They're not. So my Antipas was my faithful martyr. How did Antipas die? Well, we'll come to that in a minute. He was killed among you, where Satan dwells. Yeshua really wants to get this message across. Satan lives here. He's got a throne in this assembly, and he lives there. And he means it. But I have a few things, even though you're willing to lay your lives down, like Antipas, you've still got a few things against you. Because you have there those who hold the doctrine of Balaam. Please don't tell me this is irrelevant. Please don't tell me the Old Testament's done away with and it's got nothing to... It's like Yeshua is telling us right now, for the time to come, you've got the doctrine of Balaam. Well, we better find out what that is. Who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit sexual immorality. Thus, therefore, cause of that, you also hold to the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which sting I, Yeshua, hate. Yeshua hates the doctrine of the Nicolaitans. So you better understand what that is. Well, I'll tell you what that is. Nicolaitans, you've heard of Nico, knife. You've heard of knife, haven't you? You've got them on them trainings with a tick. Knife, the god of victory. Well, that's what Nico is, the victory. And Laitans means the laity, the people. So what were the Nicolaitans? They lorded it over the laity. A special class of people that was different and more elevated than the people. Like Father Ted. Or like senior pastor so-and-so. Where did they get that title from? If you've got a senior pastor, please check him out and say, hey mate, where did you get that title from? Because last time I read, he gave 5 gifts and pastor, it wasn't senior pastor, it was pastor. So who are you? Senior pastor. You're obviously outside of the structure that Yeshua's put in place, and you've obviously joined some Nicolaitan structure where there's tiers of pastors here and levels is there. Get out of there, because that is what the Nicolaitans is. And why did this Nicolaitan doctrine come about? It says, because you've got the doctrine of Balaam. So what's the doctrine of Balaam? Well, we've seen this at the start. What's Pergamos? Mixed marriage. What did Balaam do? This is the crux of it all. The last part of the thing tonight, but we'll go into it more next week. What he did was, he counselled Balak, and what they did is they got the Moabite women, and I think the Midianite women we see in chapter 31 of Numbers, and they seduced Israel. And they got them to come and feast with them. And they worshipped, Israel worshipped Baal Peor, it says. Psalm 106 is a great read. Psalm 106 is another one of those history of Israel psalms. And there it says, regarding this incident, they ate food sacrificed for the dead. Balak, the Moabites, they had a god called Chemosh, didn't he? Chemosh, or Chemosh, whatever, where they would give their infants and have them incinerated, burned to death. This is how you worship false gods. You offer your children and they get incinerated. Like Holocaust. We'll be talking about that more now. Holocaust. That's how these false gods have always been worshipped. Baal Peor was the chief of the false gods. You've got to know this now, where we're going now. Baal was the god of that age, or that was his name in the Middle East. They knew him as Baal. Right? But as we go through and we get to the Greeks, they had a chief god, and what was his name? Zeus. Well, it's just Baal. It's Baal with a Greek name. And then when the Greeks were finished, the Romans came into power, and they had a false god, and what was his name? Jupiter. And that, you can look at the etymology, it goes right back from Greek Zeus to Roman Jupiter. It's the same false god. It all comes from Babylon. That's why we've said many times, don't think for 1 minute Babylon is history. It's in Revelation chapter 19. It's called Mystery Babylon, the mother of all harlots, which suggests she's got a few daughters, doesn't it? A few offspring. Mystery Babylon, the mother of all harlots. The Roman Church now is calling all of these Christian offshoots, these 40,000 Christian denominations, calling them back. Come back to the mother. The protest is over now. Come back to the mother. You know, you might have stopped praying to Mary now and stopped bowing down to idols now. So all come back now. Let's have one big happy family again. That's the harlot. That's the harlot Babylon speaking. It just is.
Not to mention bringing in the other religions, the Muslims and the Buddhists as well.
Yeah, as well, yeah. So that's what I'm saying here. We've got to understand what this portion's saying. Balaam got them to sacrifice to false gods. And it says that Israel became joined to Baal Peor. This is why he's saying sexual immorality. Sexual immorality, it's porneo in Greek. Porneo. So you can see where that's coming from. But also sexual immorality. So don't be doing all of that in the natural. But it's really talking about spiritual sexual immorality. Is idolatry. It's worshipping false gods. But it's also worshipping the true God in ways he has said, don't worship me like that. He says it quite clearly. You'll see it again in Deuteronomy. Look, don't worship me the way the nations worship their gods. I don't want worshiping like that. I will tell you how to worship me. I'll give you certain occasions, special feasts, Shabbats. I mean, worship him every day. But you know what I'm trying to say? He has given us a system of worship and said, don't do it the way the nations do it. That's clear, isn't it? Balaam is here to seduce you. Balaam is here to get you to mix it up a bit. And that's exactly what Israel did. And they fell because of it. So look what Yeshua is saying. Nicolaitans, verse 16, repent, or else I will come to you quickly and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. And I said that before. Welcome that. Hey, welcome it. I'm praying for that. Lord, you know what's harder now? This side of eternity, you get your sword out and have a go, than just be idle and fast asleep and playing religious games and have this happen in a great tribulation. Do it now. This is what, I mean, thank God that he's going to do this, because you know what the sword of his mouth is, don't you? We've read it in Hebrews chapter 4. The word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, and it divides between the soul and spirit, and it checks your motives out. It gets right under your skin and checks you out and exposes your hypocrisy. And you should welcome it and go, oh, Lord, thank you, Father, for exposing this in my life. Thank you for convicting me of this sin. Thank you, Father. You know, every morning when you get up, let the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be pleasing in your sight. And if they're not, rebuke me, Lord. Discipline me. Help me to be quick to repent. Otherwise, you can see what's happening. So look, just for the last few minutes, and I've spent all week on this, I'm only going to get 5 minutes to talk about it. But no way, I'm going to just talk now about what this is about. And I think this is amazing how up to date, how relevant this is. I hope this will make you realise how relevant this is. This is where the throne of Satan is. That's what Yeshua says, isn't it? The throne of Satan is in this place. So what is this place? What is this throne of Satan? Does anyone know, actually?
Zeus. The throne of Zeus.
The altar of Zeus. That's right, that's where we're going. So here's the story of this. What is this throne of Satan? This is the altar to Zeus. Zeus is the name of the Greek chief god. And Jupiter is when he became Roman. It was always Baal. It started off with Nimrod, didn't it? And his wife Semiramis, and the illegitimate son she had, Tammuz. All of the pagan faiths come from that. And
in Germany, then?
yeah, that's what we're going to say now.
Oh, I see.
And that's what we're going to say. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. This Pergamos had, next to Greece itself, had the most, it was one of the wonders of the world, a big acropolis, a big religious centre on a high elevated mountain. You know, summits, that's what we were talking about before. The enemy has said, I want to ascend the mountain of the Lord. He wants to be high. All the high places were the places of worship, weren't they? Incense was burnt on high places, and the devil seeks high places. So this temple was set up to Zeus. To Zeus. You've got to understand, we talk about this when we do Hanukkah, when we get to John 8, 9 and 10 every year. At Hanukkah, we talk about this. This is what happened at the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes, on behalf of the Greek Empire, persecuted Israel, didn't he? And what he did, he set up an idol to Zeus on the Temple Mount. On the Temple Mount. Desecrated the temple and persecuted Israel, didn't he? And put many Israelites to death. All in the name of Zeus. And he himself proclaimed himself as God in the flesh. That's why his name was Epiphanes, Antiochus Epiphanes. Anyway, at that same time, one of his mates set up this alternative site in Pergamos, and they had an altar to Zeus. That's how Antipas met his death. Because on this altar to Zeus, they had a big bull. Zeus manifested as a bull. That's where Europa come from, wasn't it? Europe. Zeus, the Greek mythology is that Zeus, as a bull, fell in love with this woman called Europa and carried her off. And that's where Europe gets its name from. Thank God for Brexit. Get us out of that demonic institution called Europe. Because that's where it come from. It's all Baal worship. So anyway, that's how Antipas met his death. He was bound up inside this bronze bull, where it's set on fire, roasted to death inside this bull, with all kinds of pipes inside it, so that the screams of the person getting killed will come out and make the bull sound alive. All flames and screams coming out of it. But all you could hear out of Antipas was praise. Praise and hymns as he sang and prayed for his assembly. That's how he went. And I think that's how we can go, in glory. You know, if we're ever in that position, let's go like Antipas, in my faithful martyr. Anyway, got to cut a long story short here. A very long story short. So what happened was, this is 2,000 years ago, we're talking now, isn't it? When the Roman Empire was over, this Acropolis, this altar to Zeus, this throne of Satan fell into disrepair and got overgrown, and earthquakes and all kinds. Anyway, fast forward now to the 1800s, to 1871, when a German, this is when 1871 is when the German Empire got instituted. It was the Second Reich, 1871. So when Germany became an empire, the Second Reich, this archaeologist or whatever, I've got all the names, but whatever, he went and uncovered in Pergamos the altar to Zeus and started to ship it back to Germany. Started to send it back to Germany. Long story short, in 1889, the altar of Zeus was all back in Germany. In 1889, Hitler was born. Hitler was born when the altar of Zeus was reassembled. Hitler was born. Then they had to get a little home for it. So they built a museum, which was really a temple to this. And that wasn't big enough. So they started to make a bigger one. And in 1930, just to cut a long story short, if you need to go, just go. You know, because I'm going to carry on. Yeah, I'm going to carry on. So if you need to go, go, please. But 1930, they started to, they finished off a bigger temple. And the altar to Zeus was all set up and intact. And that's when the Nazis came to power. The Nazi party, the Socialist, the Workers' Party in Germany came to power. They were a cult organisation based on occult teachings, the swastika, all from Eastern religions, the Aryan myth that was all part of this myth of the Nazi party. And so, with this altar to Zeus set up, when the Nazis came to power and when Hitler was running the gaff in the name of the Third Reich, he got a replica made of the altar to Zeus in its temple in Berlin. Got a huge one made, a big, massive stage made based on this altar. And you've all seen it in Nuremberg, in the Zeppelin fields, when Hitler had his rallies and he was possessed by Satan. That's why this is all relevant. The throne of Satan is the altar to Zeus in Pergamus. The actual altar to Zeus got transported to Berlin, and Hitler was transfixed by it and got a big stage made as a replica for it. And there is where he proclaimed the final solution. The extermination of 6 million Jews came from this. He was just doing an Antiochus, just doing what Hadrian did. Hadrian, as I said, we went from the Greeks to the Romans in I think it was 120, 130 around that time. Hadrian, you've heard of Hadrian, he's got a war up in the Lake District or something, Hadrian's War, where he came in the name of Jupiter. And on the Temple Mount, he built a temple to Zeus, to Jupiter, and erected an altar to Jupiter, and it caused murder. And that's where the Bar Kokhba, you've heard of the Bar Kokhba revolt, when 500,000 Jews were wiped out. 500,000 Jews were wiped out because they couldn't accept this Roman nutcase, build the temple to Zeus and put it to Jupiter and erected a statue to Jupiter. So they revolted. And guess what happened? 500,000 Jews got killed and Palestine got invented. Hadrian invented the name Palestine to eradicate the memory. This is how relevant this is, all because of this worship of false gods. Hitler was worshipping Satan. He was a satanic Luciferian worshipper of Satan. And so he proclaimed the final solution. Well, this is what is quite eerie, to be honest with you, and quite horrible. But if you were reading it in Greek, you know when we were doing Leviticus the other week, and we were reading about burnt offerings, well, if you had been reading that in Greek, you would have read it this way: holocautma, Holocaust. Burnt offering in Greek, in the Septuagint translation of the Hebrew Scriptures. It's Holocaust. A burnt offering is a Holocaust. And where did he carry most of this out? In a place called Auschwitz. But Auschwitz is in Poland. And in Auschwitz in Poland, the Polish name for it is Oswiecim. Oswiecim. What does that mean? The holy place. What was Hitler doing? Burnt offerings in the holy place to his false god. This is why Yeshua said, read the letter of Pergamus again when you've heard that, and understand what Yeshua is saying. The throne of Satan is there. Anyone back in the day would have known quite clearly about. He's on about the altar to Zeus. 2,000 years later, the altar of Zeus turns up in Berlin, and 6 million Jews are massacred. After the war, the Russians came into play, and they took the altar of Zeus with them. And then communism spread throughout the world, didn't it? Under Stalin. Then they brought the altar of Zeus back to Berlin in 1958, and the Berlin crisis sprung up back here. And this is when you've heard about all this. Is just history. Khrushchev, the Russian dictator, and Kennedy were facing off, and the world was on the brink of a nuclear holocaust. Holocaust. It was on the brink of another holocaust, same word, all because the altar of Zeus came back to Berlin, and Berlin got divided, didn't it? The city of Berlin got divided, and a wall went up. And then the world got divided, didn't it? And it was East versus West on a nuclear scale now. There's going to be a summit in a couple of weeks with Trump and Putin because we're right on the brink of a nuclear holocaust, are we? Revelation says this: a third of mankind is about to be destroyed. I mean, a third of mankind is about to be destroyed. We're on the verge of a nuclear holocaust. This temple to Zeus, the altar to Zeus in its temple in Berlin is shut down now for renovation and about to open again next year, or they say it might be put off. So whatever they've been getting up to behind closed doors while this renovation is going on, I don't know. But just to finish, in 2008, I don't know if you remember this, in 2008, there was a character called Balak Hussein Obama running for presidency. And when he won the nomination, and when he was about to be crowned as the Democrat nominee for the presidency, and they had the Democrat convention, guess what Obama was standing on? A replica of the altar of Zeus. Wow. What's housed in Berlin, a replica of that, is what Barack Hussein Obama gave his acceptance speech to become the Democrat nominee for president, stood on the altar of Zeus. This is the character, to go right back to where we started, who sent his Secretary of State hopping over with his broken foot to have a summit to discuss the Iran peace deal. In other words, to make sure Iran had all they needed to fulfill their promise that we will wipe Israel off the face of the earth. Iran, it's like you can hear it in the name, Aryan race, Iran. It's where Iran gets its name from. They are Aryan, they're not Arabs, they are Aryan. And they want to destroy Israel just the way every other satanic nation and satanic person has throughout the last 2,000 years that we've read about here.
And the Germans said that the Aryan race was welcome.
Yeah, it was all part of this mythology of the Aryan race, and this is what happens when you worship fallen angels, and you know, it's what tonight's portion was about, was an unholy alliance trying to curse Israel. When they couldn't curse Israel, they brought destruction upon Israel by the teachings of Balaam, getting them to mix it with the pagans. So I can only leave that to you now.
What did you say with? Are you talking about mixed races?
No, mixed faith, mixed worship, yeah. But look, it's over to you now. Yeshua says what he says. If it doesn't apply to you, if you think you're all sound and you're dead holy, don't worry about it, you'll be sound. But if you're really seeking God with all your heart, then really ask him, where does this apply in my life? Am I mixing this in any way? Am I pretending to be a worshipper of you with all my heart, but really, I love the world. I spend most of my time thinking about this world and store up for a rainy day and this, that, the other. And I love coming to the Shabbat meetings, but you know what? I love Easter. I love Christmas. Oh, I love it so much. I don't know where I could ever come out of that. Well, whatever. That's between you and God. And if you don't like me for saying it, whatever. Because really, you know, this is what Yeshua was saying.
Amen.
There's a sound, you know, there's people here dying for me, but I've still got this against you. You hold to the doctrine of Balaam, and because of that, you've got a Nicolaitans structure with this. I hate it. This is not what I've come to set up. Whoever wants to be great, let him be the least amongst you. You start giving yourselves all titles, thinking you're all great. Come out of Babylon. Father, help us to come out of Babylon. I know I could be so much closer to you, Lord, and so much more effective in your kingdom if I was less religious, if I didn't have so much religious training in my life. And I want that sword out, Lord. I want you to get it out of me. I want to be set free from religion and trying to do it in my own strength, Lord. Because I know it doesn't avail anything, Lord. So I pray, Father, for this congregation here. For they are wonderful people, Lord. We're all lovely brothers and sisters, but we have all inherited a pack of lies, and that's done damage, Lord. And so I'm praying for a biblical revival, Father, a biblical revival where we return to you and do it your way. Lord God, do what you say, when you say to do it, and how you say to do it. Father, deliver us from the pride of thinking that we've got any right to set up our own religious system. Deliver us from the lies we've inherited, Lord God. Sanctify us by your truth. And your word is truth. So let the love of God and the grace of Yeshua the Messiah and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit, our comforter and helper, be with us all at truth. Speak to us, Lord. Wake us up out of our slumber and out of our ways and traditions of men. Please, Lord, let us meet with you face to face, as it were, and be transformed day to day, glory to glory, in the name of Yeshua. Amen, everyone. Amen. Amen.